Well, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonathan and this is Mr. Pearson Talk. I sat down and made a list of 50 books that I am hoping to read before I turn 50. And I'll put a link to that video if you want to check out what's on that list. But the topic of today's video is a book from that list that I happen to read. And that book is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Now, this is the second video that I'm making in regards to East of Eden because I made one video with my initial thoughts. And now that I finished it, I thought I would share what I think about the book. So if you are not familiar with the book East of Eden, this is the story of two different families, the Trask family and the Hamilton family, who live in the Salinas Valley area of California. And it actually begins, the story begins in the East, where there's a guy named, I think his name is Cyrus Trask, who he went to war and got injured on like his first day there, but somehow he became a decorated war hero, advising the president and different things like that. Well, he had two sons. He had Charles and he had Adam. And Charles loved his father and was constantly striving to get his approval, to no avail. And Adam didn't really want to do the things his dad wanted him to, but his dad loved him anyway. And this caused a lot of problems for the two brothers, particularly Charles, whose jealousy often became violent. And they grow up, and eventually Adam goes off. He joins the military. Charles stays home and takes care of the family farm. His dad is, or their father is very interested in Adam and what he's doing because he's in the military. Doesn't really care all that much about Charles. Fast forward, Adam comes home and they're living together on the farm, and they find out their father dies and has left them a great deal of money. And so Adam decides to take his share and move west to California, where he's going to buy a farm. And just before that happens, there's another person who enters. She goes by a couple different names in this. She's Kathy when we meet her. She becomes Kate after she and Adam are married. And this is a very tragic event for everybody involved. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the story. But any scene that Kate is in, you really see the depravity of who she is. She is, I gotta admit, Kate is probably one of the most villainous villains. That doesn't make sense, but she is one of the scariest characters I've ever read in a book. If you've read the book Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, you know that there's a character in there who is absolutely awful. Kate Trask makes her look like a walk in the park. Anyway, so Adam and Kate move out west, even though Kate doesn't want to. And she gives birth to twins who they, for the first couple years of their life, don't have names. But eventually they're named Cal and Aron, Caleb and Aron, because their names come from the Bible. And it kind of goes from there. Meanwhile, we also have the Hamilton family, who lives on a farm, which is, and they're a really big family. And their farm is no good. They can't raise anything. There's no water on here. But the Hamilton family and the Trask family, their lives intersect. And the poor Hamilton family, it's just one tragedy after another after another. And eventually, the things happen. Family members pass away, as is wont to happen in a family. But Cal and Aron grow up, and we start to see some of the things that happened in Adam's childhood as he was growing up with Charles. We start to see some of those things repeating themselves. And you would think that Adam would figure this out and work to correct it. But for some reason, he doesn't understand. He doesn't see it. Um, and inevitably, there is a tragedy in their family as a result of the things that Adam does. That's a vague retelling. There's so much that happens in this story. I just don't want to spoil it. Many people will consider, excuse me, many people consider East of Eden to be John Steinbeck's magnum opus. This is only the second book by him I've ever read. I read Of Mice and Men a long time ago in high school, and remember liking it, but also remembering just how tragic and kind of depressing that story was. It's been a minute, and I may need to go back and revisit it. But other people consider this one of the greatest American novels ever written, and I think I'm in agreement with them. This book is wonderful. Well, it's wonderfully written. I can't say it's wonderful. There's a lot of tragedy. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of awful stuff that happens in this book. It is a story. It's been said that it's a retelling of the Cain and Abel story from the book of Genesis in the Bible, and I can see elements of that. I can see elements of those things taking place in this story. The characters in here, there are so many great. Excuse me. It is spring when I'm recording this, and my allergies are acting up. There are a lot of great characters. Adam Trask, not a great character. Did not care for him at all. I thought he was a terrible father. I thought he was a lazy human being. Could not stand him. There is a servant, someone who works for the Trask family, whose name is Lee. Lee comes from China, and when he comes over, he pretends that he doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't speak English, but that's kind of a coping mechanism or a defense mechanism to protect him from the racism of the time. But he has a lot of wisdom that he shares with the Hamilton family, that he shares with the Trask family. He's kind of the moral compass of the story. And then a lot of people talk about how Aron is kind of a great character, but honestly, I despised Aron. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he was so pretentious and uppity. Like, he thought he was too good for everybody, that forgive me for putting it this way, his poo didn't stink. And so when he was on the screen, he was just walking around like he was better than everybody and couldn't get his feet dirty, which inevitably, that attitude is what leads to his downfall. Once you get to the end of the book, you understand what happens to him, and you understand that it was his attitude and the way that he carried himself that really was responsible for the things that happened. But the character that I did really like in this story was Cal. And Cal is kind of, if we go with the Cain and Abel analogy, Cal is the Cain character here. And he is struggling with, is he born good? Is he born who he is? Or can he escape that kind of thing? And Lee really kind of stresses to him that he has the ability to decide his own fate, what he wants to do. And he is constantly striving and trying to win his father's approval. He goes through like great lengths to be able to take care of his father and win his father's approval and make his father happy. And it never seems to work. And when those things don't seem to work, that ends up leading to a lot of problems and a lot of tragedy. And eventually he finds out who his mother is. It's Kate, but I'm not going to say much more about her, just that he finds out what a horrible person she is. And that leads him to really have this struggle of, am I going to turn out like her, or can I be good? And eventually he does, he tries, like I've said, he's always trying to win his father's approval, and it goes horribly wrong, which leads him to make some decisions and to do some things, particularly involving his brother, that then set off a whole domino effect of really tragic events. And it ends with the book. The book ends with a tragedy, but also kind of ambiguously not knowing what's going to happen with Cal. And I think that that's interesting because it's caused me to continue to think about the book and whether or not Cal is going to be good or if Cal is going to be bad. Now, should you read East of Eden by John Steinbeck? I'm going to say wholeheartedly yes, but I have some caveats to it. One, make sure you're in the right headspace because this is not an easy, light, I'm going to read this at the beach summer type of reading. This is a heavy book. There are a lot of themes. There are a lot of things that happen that cause you to kind of have to sit back and think. There are also some events in here that are quite shocking. There was one event that took place kind of near about at the end of the first act or so, that I just closed the book and I sat there and I went, oh my gosh, did that really happen? Knowing that there was still more in the book, I was surprised that it happened the way that it did. So if you're going to read this, understand that it is a heavy book. It is not an easy story to read. The other thing is there are a few people on BookTube, and they will classify this book as a Christian book. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a believer myself, this is not a Christian book. Okay, this is not something that is devotional. This is not something that's going to point you to Jesus. It's going to cause you to think about sin, and it's going to cause you to think about human nature and free will, predestination, things like that. And I think that Steinbeck was heavily influenced by the narrative of the scripture, but this isn't what I would consider a Christian book. There's a lot of language, there's a lot of sexual content, things like that in this story that would discourage me from considering it a Christian book. That being said, I think it is a book that Christians should read because it'll give you a lot to think about in regards to our free will, our predestination, God's sovereignty in our lives. All of that plays out in this book. So definitely check this out if you are looking for something that is thought-provoking. It's considered a classic for a reason. So I would encourage you to pick it up and give it a try. So that's East of Eden by John Steinbeck. This is the first book from my 50 before 50 list that I have read. I will try to get back on here and let you know each time I finish one of those books, my thoughts on it and how close I am to completing that challenge. Because it's 50 before 50 and I just turned 47, I have a little less than 3 years. And so I got to read about 16 or 17 of them each year to be able to complete the challenge. East of Eden, have you read it? And what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what I think? Do you agree with my assessments? Are there any parts of it that you would disagree with me? I'd love to have a conversation with you. I want to continue this going. So leave your thoughts and things down in the comments, and I'll try to answer you back. We'll have a conversation about it. But as always, my name is Jonathan. This is Mr. Pearson Talks Books, and we'll see you next time.